I wanted to bring today's episode to the podcast talking about how to optimize your success if you have low AMH and high FSH and you're in your 40s. So we're going to be digging into the strategies you can take right now, some myths that we are going to debunk for you around low AMH, and really how to optimize your success if you're trying to get pregnant in your 40s. So excited for you to listen to this episode. Hey there, I regularly speak with 5 to 10 couples per week who are struggling to have their baby. And although we want to help everyone, we only have 2 spots available per month to work with us. So the Supercharge Your Fertility Discovery call is for action takers, and really people who are ready to move forward so they can finally have their baby. And if you're not ready and you wait, the risk is you'll need to wait 2 to 3 months for a spot to open up. So if you're seriously considering working with us, go to Fab Fertile, FABfertile.com, and click on book a free call. Then you'll be all booked in and ready to spend 30 minutes to give you the action plan to getting pregnant naturally. That's Fab Fertile, FABfertile.com, and click on book a free call. Hey there, thanks so much for listening to the Get Pregnant Naturally podcast. And I've got a favor to ask you. If you are enjoying learning about the functional approach to fertility, consider going to iTunes and rating and reviewing the podcast. This is how it helps the show reach more people that are struggling with infertility, knowing that there's another approach that really can get to the bottom of why it's not working in the first place. So all you need to do is, if you're on the app or the desktop, just go in and consider leaving a 5-star rating and leave a review. And there is step-by-step instructions in the show notes showing you exactly how to do that. So if you can just take a few minutes, just take the few minutes right now. You can pause this recording, come back, leave the review. It would really mean the world to me and help others that are on the fertility journey as well. Take care. One theme that keeps coming up with the couples in our Fab Fertile couples coaching program is sleep. Whether it's insomnia, having a hard time falling asleep, waking up at night, or feeling tired when we wake up, sleep is critical for fertility and hormones. And that's why I'm so excited to have Blue Blocks as our podcast sponsor. So we're exposed to blue and green light from our phones, our tablets, our computers, indoor lights, and more. And this exposure impacts our melatonin production. And melatonin is essential for both female and male fertility. It helps determine the frequency and duration of our cycle and impacts sperm. There's lots of blue light blocking glasses on the market, but the ones from Blue Blocks, they've actually compared other popular brands, and Blue Blocks block 100% of blue and green light, while other brands fall short. So I have their sleep glasses. They have red lenses, and the ones I have are a little translucent frame, and they're so stylish and really cool. And so they eliminate 100% of the blue and green light in the 400 nanometer to 550 nanometer range. So this is the exact range that has been shown in clinical studies to disrupt melatonin and negatively impact your sleep. So all you do is wear your sleep glasses after sunset until it's time for bed, and you'll notice improved sleep after just one use. And it's also cool to use when you're flying for managing jet lag. So I got to say I was a little skeptical about the noticing improvement after one use, but literally I use these glasses and my sleep is actually already pretty good. I used them for one day, and I have to say, after one day, I had the best sleep of my life. I just felt so rested. So these glasses, they ship free and they're tracked for all orders anywhere in the world. And also they have all their frames come in prescription, non-prescription, and reading glasses. Plus you can send in your frames and they'll add the blue light blocking and green light blocking lenses to your frame. So this is an easy hack that you can add to your fertility toolkit. All you do is go to Blue Blocks, BLUBLOX.com. Use the coupon code GetPregnantPodcast at checkout and receive a 15% discount. That's Blue Blocks, BLUBLOX.com, and use the coupon code GetPregnantPodcast to receive your 15% discount. I didn't need to go to donor eggs. Obviously, I don't regret it. I have beautiful children. I could have done things differently, restored. I was still cycling back in my 20s. I could have looked at my health, the environmental toxins, the stress I was under.
Many women are being told their eggs are too old. That's often merely an assumption that's not based on actual evidence. The reason being that there is no direct test of egg quality. You can't test egg quality.
It's the man who's got a food sensitivity or he has a zinc deficiency.
Like there can be a root cause to these symptoms that are, quote unquote, period problems, that the doctor will pass you a pill without any question of why.
And some part of you knows that if you can reframe your journey from not want to struggle, or if it is struggle, learn how to embrace the struggle. Learn how to embrace it.
Most conditions in the child occur during the 9 months of development. It's the genetic switches are turned on or turned off, and they're pre-programmed. So you are in such a powerful, amazing position to do amazing things for your kids.
Why is IVF the first step? Because we believe it should be the last step. Welcome to Get Pregnant Naturally, where functional medicine and natural fertility solutions will help you get pregnant and have your baby. Hey there, I'm Sarah Clark, founder of Fab Fertile and your host. I believe the functional approach is the first step for anyone struggling with infertility, and my aim is to help you get pregnant naturally. Today, I'm welcoming Monika Friedman to the podcast, and we're digging into how to improve the chances of conception in your 40s with low AMH and high FSH. So Monika is part of our team here at Fab Fertile, and she's one of our fertility coaches and an integral part of our couples coaching program, which uses functional lab testing, diet and lifestyle changes to dramatically improve conception. So if you're struggling with infertility, your body is desperately trying to tell you something. And focusing on your health will either help you get pregnant naturally, or if you do need to go to the fertility clinic, it will improve your chances of success. Monika is a fertility coach helping professional women increase their chances of getting pregnant with less anxiety, more joy along the way. She's a 4-time IVF warrior, a yoga teacher, and a working mom with an MBA and 15 years of corporate experience under her belt. Her own challenging journey to motherhood has made her passionate about helping others to make their path easier. Thanks so much for listening. I am so thankful that you're here. Make sure you hit subscribe. And if you know someone else who's on the fertility journey, please share this podcast with them. Hey, Monika, excited to have you on the podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Sarah. What an honor.
Awesome. Yeah. So if you could share your journey, really how you came to do this work. Usually a lot of us, I'd say most of us have a story as to how we came into this field.
I know, right? Okay. I was 29 years old. I thought I was ahead of the curve of starting a family, not even married. And we started trying and nothing happened. I didn't even have my period after getting off the pill. And fast forward 5 years later, 4 rounds of IVF later, 12 rounds of ovulation induction because I never ovulated, 1 miscarriage later, a lot of heartbreak, a lot of just really miserable times for myself and my relationship. I finally got pregnant through the 4th round of IVF, and I now have an 18 months old. And you know what? Infertility really messed with a lot of aspects in my life, with my sanity, with my relationships, with, bank account. Yes. But with my job, with my happiness. And I realized I really want to make this path easier for other women out there. I know it's a very lonely and long path. We don't have to walk it alone. And back then I didn't have that support network. I wasn't even on Instagram back then. So thank God for this whole new community, but I really would have needed someone by my side who took my hand and would just say, okay, this is what we're going to do. There is hope. Don't believe everything the doctor says. Trust your instincts. And I decided I want to be that person for other women. And that's what I'm doing now.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And I think the important point you're there saying is it impacts all aspects of your life. Like you're saying, your relationships, your job, your happiness, and just how we navigate through life during this journey is for you going through 4 IVFs and a miscarriage, and then now being able to hope to help other people with hope. And the fact of, I like the statement, you don't need to believe your doctor, because a lot of times it's okay to question your doctor. Like I got my POI diagnosis at 28 and went, okay, didn't even get a second opinion. And so now it's like knowing, obviously I have no regrets. I have 2 beautiful children, but my health came to a crashing halt in my early to mid 30s and all sorts of, chronic infections and low immune system. I wasn't able to figure this out until I was 40. So it is having someone by your side to be like, wait a minute. No, let's look at this a little differently.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So today we're going to be digging into some tips here to help with low AMH and high FSH. So conceiving in your 40s. So if you could just start with do we do when that low AMH, we're giving a low AMH diagnosis? What's your take on that?
Just to backtrack a little bit, I was diagnosed with very low AMH for my age at the age of 29. AMH, which is the anti-Mullerian hormone, which is found in your blood and reflects the size of the remaining egg supply or ovarian reserve, is caused by either age or anything that disrupts the feedback cycle of follicular development and AMH secretion. And that can be autoimmune diseases, genetic factors, endocrine disruptors. I think there's a difference of, are you at a low, at a young age with low AMH, or are you in your 40s with low AMH? Because then AMH corresponds more to just the aging process, and that's normal. So if you're, again, in your early 40s, you have low AMH, that's absolutely normal. However, there is so much you can do. And here's my statement, maybe a bit provocative, but don't let your AMH define you. Don't let your AMH define your fertility. AMH is often mistaken for equality. It's just the only indicator that doctors have to get close to equality, but it talks about the ovarian reserve. It doesn't talk about equality. So yes, we can assume that if you're in your early 40s, that, with decline and oxidation and all of that, your equality is maybe not what it used to be when you were 25, but still we can improve our equality even in our 40s. Here's what you can do. You can definitely look at your lifestyle, because lifestyle factors have shown to have a significant positive effect on your equality. And there are three things, really. I'm probably preaching a lot what you do in your own work as well, but it's number one is diet. Number two is exercise. And number three is exposure to environmental toxins. Am I right that you cover a lot of this in your own work as well with your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, first of all, the low AMH, it's an indicator of how well you'll do on, with treatment with IVF. Right. People get myopically focused on that number, and, a well-meaning doctor is giving you this metric biomarker, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, now I'm screwed. And they may even just say, like you were told, and like I was told, they didn't even have the AMH back. When I was going through this, my daughter's almost 19, so almost 20 years ago, but that your only option is donor eggs. And that is I personally know that statement. And so do you. It's a complete blow, and it can really mess with your psyche, and that voice the doctor's voice can get embedded in your soul, where you're like, wait a minute, there's no other option. But really it's just how well, it's no fault of theirs. That's the training they've received. But unless they, have a functional take on this, or functional background, functional medicine, they just don't know how important, as you say, diet, exercise, environmental toxins. And we look at gut health and dig into diet and food sensitivities and stuff. So those areas are key.
And I just read a recent study that has shown that AMH and FSH markers are not true predictors for natural fertility. That means that women with low AMH can get pregnant naturally just as well as women with higher AMH. And you know what? A lot of women who get pregnant may have a lower AMH. They just don't know because they're not doing the tests. They just get pregnant. And I think that should give us hope. Yes, it is true that there are less eggs remaining. Your egg count overall is lower than you want it to be. And I think that just means that you need a bit more of a strategic approach, and that it may take longer than you thought it would. But hey, good things in life take time, right? And also this might involve more heartache along the way. And, I've been there. Going through those 4 rounds of IVF was not fun. However, it does not mean if you have low AMH that you can't get pregnant with your own biological child. It is still possible.
Yeah, and that study was in the Journal of American Medicine. So
correct.
I got that off your blog there. Thank you. I haven't seen that before. So they said basically among women attempting to conceive naturally, diminished ovarian reserve was not associated with infertility. Women should be cautioned against using AMH levels to assess their current fertility. Full stop. Period. Right?
We should shout this out to everyone with low AMH. Low AMH is not, and I keep hearing fertility doctors say that it's an indicator for equality. It's simply not. It's an indicator for egg reserve egg count. And I just really wanted to drive home this message because it made such an impact to my life, and I was miserable. And I was told at the age of 29 I should use a donor egg, and I'm glad I followed my instincts and said no, and did everything under the sun to improve my egg health, to improve the egg health of those few remaining eggs, and just work with what I've got. However, we all know that egg donation has a lot higher success rates than using your own eggs if you're of advanced age. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I love that you share, or you keep sharing your story. But it's usually not the first route that my clients go. Usually my clients will always try their own eggs first. And it's such an individual and personal journey. So I just want to be there, or we all just want to be there and create that space for everyone to choose their own path, but having the knowledge so that you can make the best possible decision. And that may include getting a second or third or a 10th opinion. I mean, how many doctors did I speak to? I think I had 10 different doctors that I spoke to during my 5 years, and I'm glad I did. I traveled all the way to Athens, Greece. I spoke to someone in New York. I had 3 clinics in London. I just wanted to know every possible way. And then I made up my own strategy, really.
Yeah. And sounding like the type A that you are, but yeah, exactly. So to be able to, and that's like, uncover and dig further and, look for solutions. Yeah. So with this, I just did an episode last week as a recording this. It would have been, it dropped on September the 28th, talking about really going into detail of my experience with donor eggs and really how it is a very personal decision, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously we help people similar to you with, low AMH and POI and DOR get pregnant naturally, or if they do go to IVF, get pregnant with their own eggs. But if it's like, wait a minute, I'm feeling this is what's right for me, there's no judgment, of where you are in your journey. And we support couples that have decided that donor eggs are the right choice for them. And then still it's a 50% success rate of that working. It's higher than an average IVF at 30%, right. But you still need to get to the underlying reason as to why it's not working and optimize your chances. So then it's, healthy pregnancy, postpartum period, children, there's no negative side effects to working on your health.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. And so the 3 fertility myths that you want to debunk around low AMH, you wanted to dig into that for us?
Sure. I think I mentioned some of them. Fertility myth number 1 is AMH is an indicator of egg quality. Again, false. It's an indicator of your ovarian reserve, the egg count. Again, it doesn't mean that just because your AMH is low, you can't get pregnant. That's number 1. Number 2 is if I can only increase my AMH and lower my FSH, then I can get pregnant more easily. Not necessarily true. I did some research and the scientific jury is still out there whether you can actually increase your AMH and lower your FSH. Some success has been found with traditional Chinese medicine, herbs, acupuncture, Ayurveda, lifestyle changes, and all of that. However, even if you increase it slightly, it still means that you probably have a harder time responding to stimulation during a treatment cycle. Let's again look at low AMH and high FSH more as an indicator of how well or how quickly can you go through a treatment cycle. So for example, I was stimulated with the highest dose of menopur, stimulating drugs during IVF. I just didn't respond. I did not respond. At some point, I yielded 1 follicle, and where other women get 20 follicles. So that's when I had to realize it just takes me longer. The 1 follicle that I produce probably has an amazing high quality egg. However, it's a numbers game. It will take me longer. So that's fertility myth number 2. You cannot necessarily increase it. You almost have to play with the card, where you have to deal with the cards that you were given. Maybe manage your expectations around that. Major fertility myth number 3 is that your biological age equals your chronological age. That's false. You can definitely rewind or stop your biological clock by improving your egg health with 3 things that I have mentioned already, or I will repeat again. At any given point, there's a chance that you can, or there's an opportunity for you to get the healthiest eggs you've ever had by adjusting your lifestyle and looking at the way that you go through your day. And also, studies have shown that the likelihood of becoming pregnant after your 35th birthday is not nosediving as significantly as you think. Women get pregnant well into their 40s. Again, it might just take a bit more of an effort than if you were 20. So most importantly, age is by far not the only factor impacting fertility. Genetic disposition, weight, lifestyle, and stress are important factors too. And if there is anyone out there listening to this who is a type A personality like I am, it's really helpful to take charge of the things you can during your fertility journey and stop thinking about all the things you cannot impact. So again, you can change your lifestyle. You can change the way that you deal with stress. You can change the way that your body is exposed to different things in the environment. And that's how you really can impact your egg health.
Yeah, that's why the functional side of approach is so empowering. It's like, wait a minute, I don't need to sit back and wait for someone to tell me what to do. I can take charge now. And for that type A doer, that's like, ooh, music to my ears. But it is also, and I see a theme with people that we coach, it's like the type A get it done kind of person. We also need to pull back on all the doing, because you can do all this. Like, it's equally as important. Like our program is mind, body, spirit. So it's like equally as important to let's look at the stuff going on in your mind, and, do you actually believe this is going to work, when in conjunction with, let's look at the, the proper supplements and the right diet for you. It's not all just about, here's this protocol. It's like looking at all aspects of your life. And like you said in the beginning, how it impacted relationships and your career and your happiness. Like I ask people, where are you on a scale of 1 for joy? And a lot of times joy is very low, because this is impacting, it impacts your whole life. Right. And that's why mind-body practices is really the bread and butter of my program. It seems like of yours too, because the underlying factor of stress and how stress can impact fertility, but not just fertility, because there's more to your life than fertility, right? Stress and fertility are not good friends. Stress and life aren't good friends. Yes, life is stressful already. It's inherently stressful. So let's try wherever we can, try to calm our nervous systems and try to work with the subconscious instead of against it, and try to work with who we are. So for example, if you're a type A personality, embrace that, be kind to yourself, show so much compassion, and see if you can work hand in hand with your body and your mind to get there. In my work, I do quite a lot of subconscious reprogramming work and unlocking some self-beliefs that we carry on from our childhood. And that's where really the powerful shifts happen. And that's the most rewarding part of my work when I work with clients. However, again, the fertility is like a black box. We don't know exactly what will get us pregnant or what will get us to this happy place. It could be maybe that gut sensitivity or that, high inflammation. It could be, an issue with your stress levels. It could be just your lifestyle. It could be a block tube. There's so many things, but we can tackle a lot of it. I feel that empowerment that we can give to our clients is huge. But yeah, I fully agree with you. At some point, it's also really important to just trust the process and trust the universe and know that we've done enough and know that we cannot control things any further. It's a fine balance. Yeah, I'm just reading a book on burnout. Oh, what's the name? The author, Emily something. She wrote the one on Come As You Are. And anyways, this book came out last year and talking about, like, when I said I'm going to write a book on burnout, no one said, oh, what's that? It was more like, oh, when can I read it? And basically the definition she gave was doing all this all kinds of stuff. And I'm going to butcher the wording here, but doing all kinds of stuff, but still thinking you haven't done enough.
Mm-hmm.
I know, it's crazy, right? All this huge to-do list and then still going, oh, wait a minute. I still haven't done this. I didn't do the laundry. I forgot to go over here. Like all these things and beating ourselves up.
It's hard, but there's so many tools out there that can help us with that. If there's one thing that infertility taught me was to accept myself more, be more of an even-keeled person and be a better human being. And as cliche as that sounds, but I just show up as a better version of myself today after infertility than I did during and before. And we can see this big dark cloud that may be hanging over us as an opportunity really to go in and see, what are my patterns? Are those patterns serving me? Are those patterns maybe something that I could undo and unlock and see what would help me even better in life to become that person I want to be? I always say infertility is the best teacher I ever had, even though I really didn't ask for the advice, but it is. And so finding that silver lining is something that kept me sane. Finding that silver lining and working on the spiritual growth while doing the things that I could influence. And again, I'm coming back to improving my egg health and making the best decision based on the knowledge I have in the medical field. So yeah, it's, again, for me, it's a holistic approach to this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's go back to the age piece a little bit more again. So the genetic, can you just elaborate? So the genetic disposition, weight, like some of these ones are the genetic side of things. There's epigenetics, obviously, that, you're right. You're not doomed that, just because your parents have heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and it's in the thing. And now you're struggling with infertility. There's also, I had Dr. Ben Lynch on. He's a top functional doc he's a naturopathic doctor, but specialized with MTHFR genes. And he talked about infertility being passed on to the next generation because we're pushing it and we haven't corrected what's going on. So that epigenetic side of things where we can turn that diet and lifestyle can turn on and off disease. So you're not doomed that, to have these things, but it's still diet and lifestyle would turn it on and off. And there's a tipping point. Yeah. And right now, the body, she's yelling at you, or he's yelling at you, because it's male factor as well. There's, there's things that we can do.
There's definitely things we can do. Again, we got to be really realistic. We're all being dealt with cards in our lives. Let's say you have blocked tubes, or let's say you have stage 4 endometriosis. Yes, you can get a lot of mileage out of adjusting your lifestyle, your diet specifically, through anti-inflammatory foods. However, I think it's also good to just be realistic and say, there's only so much I can do, and then I might need external help, and that's okay. That's totally fine. But going to the lifestyle part of things, when we look at diet, for example, and you know this so well as well with your training background, is we can impact the cellular health through everything we put in and on our bodies, specifically the quality of the mitochondria. So that's the powerhouse of the cells that produce the cellular energy to support the growth and maintenance. And also that determines if the chromosomes in the eggs will split evenly, which is, as we know, it's a major reason for, or the biggest reason for miscarriages. There's a lot we can do with our lifestyle, again, on that egg health and other conditions. As I mentioned, endometriosis, which is an inflammatory disease, PCOS, and all of that, even male fertility issues, morphology and motility of the sperm. So I think the first rule of thumb here is to give yourself 3 months to improve your egg health and sperm health, because that's how long the follicular genesis really, or the growth path takes for the hormones to settle. And you know what? The number one advice I keep hearing from fertility doctors in this space is clean up your diet. Clean up your diet to a Mediterranean diet, high in good fats, so avoid trans fats, high in, high ratio of protein to support egg growth, as well as monounsaturated fats such as avocado, nuts, and salmon, organic, pesticide free, and all of that. Avoid processed sugary foods. However, I just had a recent question from a client, and she said, I have high inflammation and high natural killer cells. I'm so confused about all the advice that I see out there, that I Google out there on the internet. And I have to say, it's so important that you look at your own individual circumstances, at your own individual conditions, so that your nutritionist or your doctor can give you a tailored advice. So yes, Mediterranean diet is great, but I truly believe, and I know you'll second me on that it's key to look at our own individual circumstances, because I feel then we get the most benefit out of diet changes. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Taking a personalized approach to this. You can, try keto, paleo, plant-based, and it may be right for someone else who developed those plans, but is it right for your body? And so we have people do the elimination diet, which is gold standard. Then like autoimmune or NK cells, like elimination diet, and then typically AIP, so autoimmune protocol, not forever, but to dig in even deeper. To basically is all about dampening the fire. And then we tweak it further with food sensitivity testing. Because sometimes if you just say, hey, let's do an AIP diet right now, which is quite restrictive, it'd be like, if that's causing more stress because you're running around trying to get the foods, then that's kind of counterproductive. So yeah, it is taking this very personalized approach to it. And there's a couple studies I have on the podcast talk about the efficacy of the AIP diet for if you have Hashis or IBD, so irritable bowel disease, Crohn's colitis, and they were published in the Journal of American Medicine in 2019. Small studies, but still talking about the power of over prescription medicine. The power of diet and lifestyle changes are massive.
They are, and I think there's definitely something for everyone in the Mediterranean diet. There's something for everyone in taking CoQ10 to lower the oxidative stress on egg cells. There's definitely, you want to take your vitamins, you want to take your fish oil, you want to take a good probiotic. Those are all the recommendations I give to every single one of my clients. But then that's where the real work starts. Then you really want to look at your personal circumstances and almost create a personal plan for you, because we're all so individual and we're also unique. And if you do work with someone, then you better want to make your time and money worth and get that really individual plan, which is yours to keep for the rest of the life, or, for the next few years until your body changes again. But I would say almost take this lifestyle change or diet change as an opportunity to get to know your body better, to really hone in on what does your body need? How can you be friends with your body, even if it has an inflammatory disease or any kind of autoimmune disease? Become friends with your body, become really intimate with your body, and see how can you support your body, and what foods does your body like and what doesn't, and just almost to stop and listen inwards more. Yeah.
Yeah. Because in the IVF section, it's kind of these IVF warrior, and we're like just these like fighters, and we're coming in to attack it and beat it up. Meanwhile, it's like, how do we like love it and throw love at it instead of attacking it? Because that is like that, what you're attacking. And then that, even with cancer, like fight cancer, and then you're just here's the word cancer, and it's kind of, I don't know. I just think it's looking at this differently. Obviously, being strong and brave and things like that is obviously important. But that mentality, I remember someone saying that they saw the sperm, coming in, they had their little helmets on, and they were just coming in, they were coming to the egg. And I'm like, whoa, like, it's like, that's it's not very masculine, dominant, pushing, that kind of energy, whereas conception is more feminine energy. Well, it can be both, right? Obviously, but we've forgotten in our culture, I think it's starting to swing a little back, but the feminine side of things, and that's equally important. I think some of those visions that we have of attacking and fighting, and I'd be like that, like super impatient, I don't necessarily have an issue with uncertainty, but I think all of us to a degree have an issue with uncertainty. Some people really struggle with it. And then the control thing, that was my constant planning, which, and like, if I didn't plan, then nothing would happen. I have a podcast episode we just did on patterns, like you were talking about. So being aware of your patterns and these sort of things, and you keep doing that, the same thing over and over again, and be able to like, oh, wait a minute, there I go again. And then, you can say to yourself, let's drop it, or give it a nice kiss and send it on its merry way.
Right. I feel like one of the most important things I learned through infertility was compassion, kindness to myself. That's huge. I didn't even know what that meant before. I remembered people were telling me, you got to be so kind to yourself. Like, what does that mean? I don't even know what that means. And now I know. And it also means having that bar of chocolate. It also means having that glass of wine. It also means that I eat really healthily, but it means almost that 80-20 approach. You got to live a little. You got to give your body a little bit of a break sometimes in your mind and live in a balanced state. And it will be different for every one of us. But yeah, I thought I could only get pregnant if I did not eat any red meat, any sugar, if I never had any wine. And it's just not true. There's always that little bit of a gray zone. And even if that's just more important for your cortisol levels, as we know, cortisol does play a role in our hormonal balance, reproductive hormonal balance. Be kind to yourself and find out what that kindness means. And it doesn't need to be a bubble bath and a bar of chocolate. It can also just be saying no to people. It can be taking time out to have your lunch away from your desk when you're at work. It can also be saying no to people in your life that are robbing you of your precious energy. So kindness to yourself is key. Self-care is key in all of this.
Yeah, big self-care buzzword, but it's there for a reason. And it's not necessarily, the mani-pedis can be fine, but the more the boundary setting, like you're saying, coach so many people, like, let's take your lunch, your food away from your desk. Why are we sitting there 8 hours a day? Like, especially, many of us are able to work at home and then not even getting up. And yeah, I guess kind of like with the moderation thing, our take on is like with the food sensitivity, like if you have a food sensitivity, and then let's take it further. But it's also, I have red wine. It gives me like a histamine reaction and I'm freaking, my whole face, burns up and although it tastes really good, but I'm like, oh, I don't feel very great after it. Or if like for coffee, like we've had people come back and they're sensitive to coffee. So then finding alternatives. So it's not about like, this is not about deprivation. It's kind of like really getting to know your body. And it took me years to be like, oh, when I have that, I feel like garbage. And that cheat, I'm doing air quotes, is just not worth it. And so to be able to, because a lot of times people come, oh, when I have this, like it gives me gas or I feel bloating but I keep having it. Well, but your body's, again, she's trying to tell you something there. And, for years I ignored it all. But once you discover it, then you know better, then you do better. Mm-hmm. So, but like you're saying that self-care though piece is equally as important as you getting the right diet.
And the right diet is part of the self-care. As you said, if that glass of wine isn't doing it for you, cut it out. That's a form of self-care. And that's a form of acknowledging your body. Sarah, I've got a really important question because I know I get this question all the time from my clients. Let's talk about DHEA, especially for ladies with low AMH.
Yeah, go for it.
What are your thoughts?
Well, it's a standard recommendation for diminished ovarian reserve, low AMH, to recommend DHEA. Our take is basically to test first, and we're looking. Ours is always test, don't guess. We use the Dutch test, looking at your sex hormones, your melatonin, and your cortisol, and also DHEA, the master hormone, is what's going on with it. And we see people that have supplemented, and it could be off the charts. And then there's a lot of side effects from DHEA. People can feel really rotten and the acne and greasy skin and greasy hair. And maybe it's not the right thing for you. So it is kind of that blanket recommendation. Oh, wait, you have DOR. Here you go. I talk more in detail. I did a podcast episode about what to do next after you read It Starts with the Egg. So we kind of talk a little more about that there. But yeah, I just think it's like that blanket recommendation. And it may be right for some people, but let's test. You want, and when you're taking any kind of hormone, you want to test within, the next 2 to 3 months. We recommend, we have access to bioidentical hormones, so we can recommend those as well. But you're always testing, you're not just taking it and off you go. It's to look at your levels.
Yes, I fully agree. I always tell the ladies I speak to not just go and buy it over the counter. You have to check with your doctor first. Otherwise, you can get really nasty side effects and it may not be serving you whatsoever. However, it has shown to improve IVF outcomes, and it's definitely worth it looking into. But again, I love what you just said about it's such a personal decision in terms of if that will be good for your personal circumstances or not. Again, everything, diet, supplements, check in with a specialist on this. It's so going to be worth your time and money because again, this is a form of self-care. Let's talk about exercise for a moment.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so that is number 2 in my lifestyle list of what you can do to improve your egg health. So if you're anything like me, if you're actively trying to conceive, this is not the time for high intensity workouts or nailing your marathon time or working on that 6-pack. High intensity workouts can have a direct negative impact on your reproductive hormones, especially LH, FSH, and progesterone. So instead of high intensity workouts, try walking, biking, swimming, yoga, Pilates, and almost work out like you were pregnant already. And no, this is not forever. You are able to ramp up your exercise again after you finish breastfeeding. And on the other spectrum, on the other end of the spectrum is exercise. Moderate exercise is really important. So low impact exercise is key for improving your microcirculation in the body, which means better blood flow carrying oxygen and nutrients to your ovaries and uterus. And regular exercise has also shown to help fight mitochondrial damage. And again, the mitochondrial function is really important for your egg health, both female and male. I'm a big proponent of low impact exercise. And that's how you can not only improve your egg health and your overall fertility, but also your mood. Exercise helps with endorphins. Even if it's just putting on your favorite tune and dancing or walking the dog or, just going for a stroll, anything that gets your blood moving can be so beneficial. And it gets easier the more you do it. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with everything you're saying there. It's you don't want to do, it's not about you sitting on the couch, nor is it that vigorous exercise where you can't even talk to the person beside you. So if you're addicted to that kind of high intensity exercise, being able to pull back is key. And it's like you're running, how many kms a week. It's kind of like, wait a minute. Even though you may feel fine because that's what you crave. We do have people say, well, wait a minute, how do you feel the next day? But sometimes we could be disconnected and we're just fatigued and we just keep pushing ourselves forward. Again, connecting with your body. I've just included, like with the Fab Fertile method, including an exercise coach as part of the program as well, just to give a consult and dig deeper. And she experienced amenorrhea, was doing vigorous, high intensity exercise, lost her period, and then was able to have her child. She went via IVF, and she pulled way back. So it was like over exercising, under fueling, not a good
What's
thing.
Her name?
So Samantha Callaghan.
Oh, yeah, she's a friend of mine.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
She's great.
Yeah. So she was on the podcast, I think 1.5 years or so ago. And now if we just got a new episode, it'll be coming out soon. If not, maybe before this one, I'm not sure. And so we just recorded another one about, the importance of exercise. And then, and the next one we have is the environmental toxins. We've talked a lot about that on this podcast, but anything you wanted to add on that as far as environmental toxins and the importance of looking at it?
I just want to say progress, not perfection. You don't have to throw out all of your household cleaning products, your personal care products, your cookware. Start little by little. When I was first told that I should avoid any kind of environmental toxins, so parabens, BPA, all of that, phthalates, I went into a frenzy and basically cleaned up the entire house out the entire house and spent around 200-300 pounds. I was living in London back then on new products, and it was overwhelming. What I learned is start step by step. baby steps will do it. Start to look at your household cleaning products maybe one week, and then maybe look at buying more organic and pesticide chemical-free items the next week. Your body will be thankful. And it's not just about your body or your egg health. It's a way of living in your environment that feels healthy and natural and sustainable. So here's the thing. You're not just prepping your egg health. You're going to be preparing for your pregnancy and for your early childhood years, because you will not want to, or you will want to follow this advice so much more even during pregnancy and when you have a little baby around. So starting now is a great preparation for what is to come. And it's just a way of, living in tune with our environment. Don't get overwhelmed. There's tons of advice out there. Just start small. Progress, not perfection. That's my advice on this one.
Absolutely agree with that, because people are like, oh, and they like just throw everything in the garbage, and then that's a lot of money. So it is to be able, as each product finishes, to then replace it with a non-toxic option. I had the feed, I had the food thing in place pretty quickly. This, for some reason, my personal care, I don't know why, that took me forever, because I was like, I've got sensitive skin. Every time I try something, it didn't work. And it just took me a long time to figure it. So I do have my favorite products, but my favorite products may not be, right for you. So there's a little bit of trial and error. I do think the products in this category are like, well, it's like $1 billion business. Everyone's, doing these non-toxic beauty, and cleaning. But so there's a lot more options. And I think it's kind of fun now. Like I just found a non-toxic fragrance, Henry Rose. I just got that from Michelle Pfeiffer's line. She just, it's got the environmental working group stamp of approval. And so that's a really nice little fragrance, because I was like, what about my perfume? So yeah, looking at that stuff. And then there's another thing on the pesticides and the environmental soup that we're kind of toxic soup we're all in. So Dr. Zach Bush, who, like, if you don't, this guy is just so freaking smart. I don't know, this guy, he's an integrative medical doctor, and he's also into regenerative farming, and just extremely wise person. Anyways, he was just talking about in the 1920s or 30s, like sperm counts were at 100 million, and now they're at 40 million. And what's the kind of change in there? It's like there are monocrops and our glyphosate being linked to infertility and sprayed on a lot of our crops, and then genetically modified produce. So it is, to me, switching to, if the person has to wear a suit and a respirator to spray it, how is that impacting our health? And and he's saying it's pretty hardcore what he's saying, but like, we're looking to be extinct in the next 60 to 70 years. It is to be able to, like, scary. That's pretty scary. 60 to 70 years. I'm like, oh my goodness. So but he's like, look, there's lots of things we can do. Like, don't eat the stuff that's been sprayed. And if that's, too much for you, at least the dirty dozen that the top sprayed on them. But yeah, is there, just to segue here. So is there a book or a website or an app or a documentary, anything that you are obsessed with right now and loving? And
I personally love all things mind body, to just get our mindset or our nervous system calm, our mindset in the right space for fertility. So in terms of apps, I would say anything that is accessible to you. I love the app Calm, CALM. Just a very simple way to enter this world of meditation. And, you can do it 2 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour before going to bed or waking up. I have a series on my Instagram. It's called Mindful Monday. And I give little snippets of relaxation, breathing, yoga tools that you can just do every Monday morning or every Monday night. It sets you up for a good week. And so, check out my Instagram at Monika Friedman Coaching, Monika with a K, because I'm from Germany. Just find what works for you in terms of, again, being kind to yourself, calming your nervous system, and you'll find what works for you pretty soon. And don't give up. If sitting down and meditating for 5 minutes is scary, start with 30 seconds. Just watch your breath. Just see how it feels when you move your body intuitively. Just see what happens when you sit with your emotions rather than running away from them. There's so much wisdom in us. So those are my 2 recommendations. A simple meditation relaxation app like Calm, or my Mindful Monday series.
I love it. And is there a success story you'd like to share with us?
I'd love to share a success story of one of my clients. She just passed the 40 years old mark, and she's been trying for a good 2 to 3 years with unexplained fertility or infertility. Sperm was fine. Her AMH markers were fine, or, normal for her age. She tried everything. She had recurrent miscarriages, and they finally started looking into natural killer cells, and with that into her diet as well. And it turned out she had the MTHFR gene, which doesn't allow the folate to translate in your body or respond. So she basically started taking just more folate in her diet and as supplements. And she started with immunotherapy before her next IVF cycle. So not just once she got pregnant, but before that. And there is different ways you can do it. And you know what? She finally got pregnant. And I'm so over the moon for her, because I know miscarriages can be so devastating. And I'm just so happy that she finally found a way to almost work with her body. I think that's the theme of today for me. Work with your body, find out, get really familiar with your body's way of doing things and responding to things. And then, get really good outside help. And I'm also really proud of her, because finally her way of communicating with people around her, including her husband, including her coworkers, including her friends who all have children already, has improved massively through our work together, to the point that her husband jumped on a Zoom call to say thank you so much. And that was just so rewarding for me. But I also saw there's so much more to this whole fertility game than just getting pregnant. It's the relationships, it's your sanity, it's the way that you show up as a person. So yeah, that's my success story.
Love that. Beautifully said. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you've got a free download here for the listeners. They can go to Monika, and I'll have this in the show notes. So Monika Friedman, Monika with a K, .com/free tools. And what can they get there?
That is my free PDF to 3 research-backed ways to improving your fertility today. And you can read in that PDF all the things that I discussed today. So number 1, mindset. Number 2, lifestyle, which includes the diet, the environmental toxins and exercise. And number 3, your fertility tactics. And I'm going to share one very inexpensive test you can use to get your progesterone checked. And so that's just a really handy tool to have to start making changes today. And again, progress, not perfection. Otherwise, it's too overwhelming, and we don't need more of that in life.
No. Any final thoughts?
Just wanted to say thank you. And it's a special time in life where we need so much support going through, infertility, but also the world is scary right now. So I just want to say thank you to you, Sarah, and to everyone out there who's helping these ladies walk this path with so much more knowledge and so much more insight, and just an open ear. I really would have needed this kind of community when I was trying to conceive. So thank you for facilitating this, Sarah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, Monika. And I love you have a very calming voice. I feel very calm. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing your words of wisdom on this topic.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Melatonin is important for female fertility. It helps regulate hormones and maintain the body's circadian rhythms. Plus, it helps determine the frequency and duration of the menstrual cycle. Plus, it impacts sperm count and motility. Blue and green light negatively impact our melatonin production. That's why we recommend Blue Blocks, blue and green light sleep glasses to all our one-to-one clients. Simply go to Blue Blocks, BLUBLOX.com, and use the coupon code GETPREGNANT podcast at checkout to receive your 15% discount. That's Blue Blocks, BLUBLOX.com, and use the coupon code GETPREGNANT podcast. Hey there, I regularly speak with 5 to 10 couples per week who are struggling to have their baby. And although we want to help everyone, we only have 2 spots available per month to work with us. So the Supercharge Your Fertility Discovery Call is for action takers, really people who are ready to move forward so they can finally have their baby. And if you're not ready and you wait, the risk is you'll need to wait 2 to 3 months for a spot to open up. So if you're seriously considering working with us, go to Fab Fertile, FABfertile.com and click on Book a Free Call. Then you'll be all booked in and ready to spend 30 minutes to give you the action plan to getting pregnant naturally. That's Fab Fertile, FABfertile.com, and click on Book a Free Call. I'm excited to offer you a special gift. If you are a U.S. resident, text FERTILE, FERTILE to 55444. You'll be prompted to enter your email address and you'll receive our fertility yoga download. In this 20-minute intro video, we focus on a calming and peaceful practice to connect back to our heart. These simple yoga poses can help quiet negative thoughts and make you feel more in control. Download it now and get started today. For U.S. residents, text FERTILE, FERTILE to 55444. For non-U.S. residents, go to Yoga Freebie, FREEBIE, to access your special gift. That's yogafreebie.com to access the free fertility yoga download. The Get Pregnant Naturally podcast, including show notes and links, provides information with respect to healthy living, nutrition, lab testing, and is intended for informational purposes only. The information provided is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor is it to be construed as such. We cannot guarantee that the information provided on the Get Pregnant Naturally podcast reflects the most up-to-date medical research. Information is provided without representation or warranties of any kind. Please consult a qualified physician for medical advice and always seek the advice of a qualified health care provider with any questions you may have regarding your health and nutrition program.